My name is Eric Jackson. I am the director of the Connecticut Transportation Safety Research Center and the executive director of the Connecticut Transportation Institute, and we do transportation-related research here at UConn. So in the lab we have a real-time driving simulator. We have a full-scale driving simulator and a desktop simulator that allows us to put drivers into risky situations that you wouldn't want them in the real world. But it allows us to do some research on distracted driving, drunk driving, impaired driving, and really understand how these different types of driving activities impact safety. So the vehicle that we have is a 2014 Ford Fusion. It was actually totaled in a crash, and Real-Time Technologies takes these vehicles. They strip out the engine, the transmission, and a lot of the chassis or the body of the car itself to reduce the weight, and underneath the car are 4 actuators that actually provide a real motion sense to the vehicle itself. We have a city, and we have a rural environment, and we also have an interstate section, all within the simulated environment that allows a driver to experience multiple scenarios and then multiple environments as they're driving through. So what we're hopefully going to be able to do is start some research studies on a wide variety of topics, starting with impaired driving. So we're going to be looking at the way that alcohol and what level of alcohol, how that impairs your perception and reaction time. So within the car we can actually measure how many milliseconds it is from an event occurring and then the amount of time it takes somebody to press the brake. We're very interested in looking at the effects of marijuana and what, as states begin to legalize marijuana, what impacts does smoking have on your perception and reaction time, and what impacts does it have on your ability to operate a motor vehicle. One of the main research goals that we're using the simulator for is autonomous driving. What we're trying to work with industry on is how humans and machines interact in the future. When you start looking at automated vehicles, some of the typical duties of a person are now being taken over by a machine. So what does that look like in the future? And how do we keep drivers engaged when they're in fully autonomous or automated driving? So the simulator can, with the touch of a button, you can turn it into a fully autonomous vehicle, which means the car will drive itself. You can take your hands and feet off the controls, and the car will do all the driving for you. Currently, there's 2 prevailing technologies or ways to keep drivers engaged with driving. The first one is hands on the wheel. So the other way is eye tracking. So making sure that the person is looking out the windshield of the car as they're driving. So our goal is to test the 2 models against each other to see which one actually is best at keeping drivers engaged and how that human and machine interface actually translate into safety for drivers.